Oh, great. Good evening and welcome to the war, the information war. I'm DLAKE for PREZ. It's story time tonight on themediaspeaks.com, and I'm going to get into a true crime story tonight. You can see in the headline, a teen kills his parents, throws a wild house party. We're going to get into suicide pills and homicide pills, and how we need to address that in this country. And there's a lot of other stuff going on in the news. Last night I covered the nuclear option in the Senate. Also, Duck Dynasty's Phil Robertson is on hiatus from A&E, Arts and Entertainment Television. And since I have a big, gigantic, awesome beard, kind of like those Duck Dynasty Commando guys or whatever, duck commanders, with their fancy duck attire. Apparently the show's real popular. Everyone loves it. And a lot of people are standing up with Phil and Duck Dynasty. And a lot of people are also at the same time cracking down on him. And, of course, firing him. LGBT didn't like some of the comments that he made. Whether or not, you know, the mainstream media presented those comments in the proper context, in the context of the interview. I mean, this morning the headline is he's fired or on hiatus indefinitely. Yesterday the headline was Phil Robertson finds a woman's vagina much more desirable than a man's anus. And I'm like, sounds good to me, man. Maybe I should tune into your show. Anyways, I also want to give a shout out before I get to tonight's true crime story. I want to give a shout out to David Knight of the InfoWars Nightly News, my reporter peer, Mr. David Knight. He's been doing an excellent job, a great job reporting specifically the video that I just watched yesterday, where he had Sybil Edmonds, whistleblower Sybil Edmonds, on the show to discuss Edward Snowden, more specifically Glenn Greenwald, who apparently now has the unreleased 99% of those leaks, documents, and all the stuff that Snowden supposedly got. I'd encourage you to go back and do some research before you just play a game. Is he a hero? Is he a zero? Does he prefer vagina or man's anus? You know, do we really like this guy? Look, I was saying and agreeing with Webster Tarpley and my fellow reporters that this could be a limited hangout. And I'm really going to have to put together a super package about what limited hangouts are really all about. But basically, it's a covert CIA intelligence type operation where we're only being given, you know, a small amount of the information. And look at it this way. All the documents and all the information that Snowden has, secret stuff that the NSA was collecting, is now in Glenn Greenwald's possession. And he is making multi-million dollar book and movie deals and deciding, he's deciding now, with no vote on it, it's him and his boyfriend's decision when they're going to release what. And maybe they talk about it with a giant news organization like The Guardian, and then team up with Odemir or whatever his name is, and Peter Thiel, Bilderberg attendee Peter Thiel over there at PayPal. And then they want to start up their own alternative news organization. And they're going to want to get some really kick-ass reporters like the Media Speaks. But I'm not going to keep getting suckered in and strung along with what seems like a limited hangout and an operation for you to manipulate the data and use it to economic advantage, Glenn Greenwald. Hey, Glenn, how did you feel about Duck Dynasty comments made about gays? You swing that way, don't you, pal? Huh? Release the Kraken! All right, let's get to tonight's top story, a true crime story. Tyler Hadley's killer party. And the story is actually posted on Rolling Stone, rollingstone.com, by Nathaniel Rich. So I didn't write this, okay? I'm just going to read from it. I don't want to plagiarize like Shia LaBeouf, okay? We put out a short film based on a comic book written by another guy. That's also in the headlines this week. You could tell it was going to be a huge party because almost nobody had heard of the kid who was throwing it. Word was that his name was Tyler Hadley. He attended Port St. Lucie High, and most crucially, his parents were out of town. Sweet. Party at Tyler's house. We're going to tear it up. Tyler had been telling his friends all week that he was going to have a party, but nobody believed him. He had never thrown a party before, and it was impossible to believe that his parents, who had been increasingly strict with him lately, would give their consent. When his friends asked whether the party was still on, Tyler replied, "I'm working on it." They assumed that meant it was off. At 11:25 a.m. on Saturday, July 16th, Hadley received a Facebook message from his friend Antonio Ramirez. "Sup, brah?" Tyler says. "Chillin', what you doing tonight?" This is from Facebook. "Trying to have a party at my crib." "Your parents ain't home?" "Nope." "Well, they're leaving soon," says Tyler. At 1:15 p.m., Tyler posted a message on his Facebook wall. "Party at my crib tonight? Maybe." No one was convinced by this, but at 8:15 p.m., Tyler posted another message. "Party at my house, HMU. Hit me up." Still, his friends remain incredulous. Ashley Hayes messaged, "Whoa, what? What if your parents come home?" "They won't," replied Tyler. "Trust me." The party was just getting started when Mike Young arrived with 10 or so of his friends around 11:30. Excuse me. Oh, man, come on. It's kind of hard to do the pages with my super awesome power gloves. That was at around 11:30 p.m. Mike, a popular athletic junior, knew the host only by sight. Tyler was distinctive looking, tall and skinny, nearly cadaverous at 6'1" and 160 pounds. Let's go take a look at Tyler. There he is. This kid right here. There he is at the party. He's got the party cup. At school, he was quiet, approaching nonverbal, though occasionally prone to sudden, nonsensical outbursts in class. His friends, potheads, juvenile delinquents, pill poppers. Remember that part. Were not the type of kids Mike liked to associate with, but it was a warm summer evening in July, and there was absolutely nothing else going on in Port St. Lucie. It's Port St. Lucie. I'm just going to say St. Lucie. There was never anything going on in Port St. Lucie. Excuse me. Oh, man. This fucking kid. Excuse my language. The city 40 miles north of West Palm Beach was a tomb, designed for the soon-to-be entombed. It had half a dozen golf courses, twice as many assisted living homes, 7 funeral homes, 2 bingo halls, and a shuffleboard court. You know, so it's that neighborhood in Florida where everyone's trying to go to retire, right? There was no access to the beach, no downtown, and no place for teenagers to hang out at night other than a giant arcade called Superplay USA, which advertises itself as a state-of-the-art family playground. Even the parks were closed at night. Mike and his friends had already spent 3 hours killing time at the mall in Stewart, 20 minutes down the coast, and another hour at McDonald's. So they figured they might as well check out the Hadley party. Tyler answered the door wearing a long black t-shirt, black Dickies, and black Nike Air Force high-top sneakers. He seemed anxious, or at least as anxious as you can be while you're on ecstasy. It was clear that Tyler was rolling. His eyes were large and white, his pupils expanded, and he kept rubbing his hands together nervously, clenching his fists. "I don't want no one smoking inside," said Tyler. "It's my parents' house." Before long, there were 60 kids in the house. Most of them had no idea who Tyler was. They draped themselves over the couches, played beer pong on the dining table, scrounged for food in the kitchen cupboards, and gathered in packs out front, tossing empty cans onto the lawn. In the living room, when bottles fell to the floor and shattered, kids laughed. Cigarettes were extinguished on the rug, the kitchen counter, the wall. Tyler seemed less concerned with the destruction of his home than with the noise. If the neighbors got alarmed, they might call the police. "Actually, just stay in the house," said Tyler to nobody in particular. "You can smoke inside. I don't care." Mike was talking with some girls on the couch when a very drunk skater kid, he looked like one of Tyler's friends, ambled over. "I smell dead people," said the skater, giggling. Mike looked up. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Well, I don't know. Some people are smoking, that's all." "All right, dude, whatever." The skater, laughing, wandered off. A large crowd had gathered around the beer pong table. The table was directly next to the family computer where kids took turns playing songs on YouTube. Mike queued up Wiz Khalifa's No Sleep and a couple of tracks from a Lil Wayne mixtape. Tunisia's Back and Rax, if I said those correctly. The computer area was even filthier than the rest of the house. The white keyboard was tacky with brownish dried liquid, beer, maybe, or Coke. Nobody looked too closely. Jose Orazo, a slight, soft-spoken 17-year-old with straight black hair combed at an angle over his forehead, was playing beer pong when he heard someone say, "Oh, he killed his parents." Everybody laughed. Jose won 15 straight games of beer pong. People kept asking Tyler where his parents were. Here's his parents, and there he was in the first picture with his parents. Smiling, happy. Actually, it's kind of blurry, but it actually looks like he has a big giant boa constrictor around him there. Here's a better picture. There's his parents. They went to Georgia, about replying to where his parents were. Tyler said. Tyler told Mark Andrew. "They're in Orlando," he told Ryan Stonestaffer. "They don't live here," Tyler told Richard Wooters. "This is my house." Mark Andrew, 21, met Tyler 11 years ago when Mark's family moved to Port St. Lucie. Tyler and Mark's younger brothers were friends, and the families lived down the street from each other. When Tyler was 10 years old, he showed up at the Andrews' house after a fight with his mother. He vowed that he would kill his parents. Mark told Tyler that all parents pissed off their kids, and Tyler, calming down, agreed. The two boys laughed about it. Tyler's friend, Marky Phillips, missed the party because he was visiting his grandparents in Chicago that weekend, but he had hung out with Tyler 2 nights earlier playing video games and watching television at Marky's house. Tyler had seemed pretty fine that night, but 2 weeks before that, they had been hanging out at Marky's house, Marky Mark's house there, when Tyler blurted out in the middle of a conversation that he wanted to kill his parents and have a big party after. Stay with me, man. This is going to get pretty crazy, especially if you like true crime stories like I do. And there is a meaning behind why I'm getting to this story tonight. Nobody had ever done that before, Tyler said. Throw a huge party with the bodies still in the house. "That's crazy," said Marky. He figured Tyler was trying to make a joke. Nobody ever took Tyler seriously when he talked about killing his parents. In a Facebook chat with his friend Mercedes Marco on July 2nd, 2011, 2 weeks before the party, Tyler complained that his mother had confiscated his cell phone. Again, here's Tyler. "LOL, yep, she's a cunt, for sure. I might kill her." Mercedes Maxine Marco says, "OMG, no jail, or, I mean prison, LOL. Tyler Hadley, "Oh well, heart sign." Then there was his friend Matthew Nobile, 17, a junior at Port St. Lucie High School, who had this exchange with Tyler at 9:40 a.m. on the morning of the party. "Matt, did you do it?" Tyler, No, but I'm gonna. Bet. You really should now. Do it. Don't worry, I am. Then I'm having a party. Yeah, party time, nigga. Port St. Lucie was not built for teenagers. Named after the patron saint of people with eye problems, the town was the brainchild of 3 Jacksonville brothers, Frank Elliott and Robert Mackle, who were determined to profit from the massive migration of retirees to South Florida. By 1980, Port Lucie's population had grown to 15,000, and the city had begun to sprawl inland, overtaking I-95 9 miles from the coast. Blake and Mary Jo Hadley moved to Port St. Lucie from Fort Lauderdale 24 years earlier to be closer to Blake's parents, who had retired in neighboring Stewart. Though Port St. Lucie was eviscerated by the real estate crash, Tyler's parents held recession-proof jobs. Blake was a watch engineer at the St. Lucie nuclear power plant for 30 years. Mary Jo was a beloved elementary school teacher. No matter who you were, even if she didn't like you, she would never give up on you, says Cameron Adams, a friend of Tyler's who had been Mary Jo's student. The space-age design of the Hadley home and those of its neighbors are unable to disguise how recently the land was confiscated from nature. A half-century from the Mackles ads first appeared. Okay, so this is talking about the community and stuff and how there's dense, overgrown plexus of pine, flatwoods, wiregrass, wax myrtle, fetter bush, dahoon, holly, wild blueberries, saw palmettos, their leaves all around, and marijuana. Lots of marijuana. At the end of the block lies Port St. Lucie River, hemmed on either side by a narrow tract of riparian forest. Bewildered bobcats, raccoons, wild boars, and alligators often climb out of the river and onto their neighbors' lawns. So good job by the author here, giving us a visual picture of the neighborhood. During Tyler's adolescence, Port St. Lucie was known nationally, if it was known at all, for 2 things: the New York Mets, who held their spring training camp there, and marijuana. During the real estate boom, dealers from Miami began buying up empty houses, often for as little as $50,000, outfitting them with LED lights and hydroponic systems, and using them as grow operations. The practice became so common that it earned the city a new nickname, Pot St. Lucie. An investigation in 2006 by local and federal law enforcement agencies busted 69 pot farms in town, but the phenomenon persists. They're still out there, says Joseph Waddle, who recently graduated from St. Lucie West Centennial High School. Marijuana is out of control. It's everywhere. You can't go to a party without smelling it in the air. As the population of Port St. Lucie has grown, its median age has plunged. More than a third of the city's inhabitants are now younger than 24. Teenagers complain incessantly about having nothing to do. All right, so there's nothing to do in this town, okay? So you're going to have to imagine that when this high school student, 17-and-a-half-year-old Tyler Hadley, posts on his Facebook, HMU, hit me up because I'm having a party, and don't worry, my parents aren't going to be there, you're going to get a lot of people there. And they're going to act a damn fool, putting the cigarettes out, just playing beer pong, not really giving a care. The whole mindset of Port St. Lucie is that it's boring, so I'm not going to do anything but throw a party, says Waddle, basically what I just said. There are a lot of shops, but nothing to do, explains Terry Gwynn, a senior at Centennial who was friends with Tyler. In other towns, there are places where teens can hang out, but not in Port St. Lucie. The town is so boring, says Anthony Snook, a lanky 20-year-old with an ironic mustache and a surfer's drawl, while shopping for a new glass pipe at 420 Peace Avenue, a local head shop. It drives kids nuts. There's no role models, and the parents are always on everyone's ass because everyone's stressed about money. Hey, I'm trying to get an interview with Anthony Snook. Hey, meet me at the 420 Peace Avenue head shop. I'm looking for a new glass pipe, and I'll answer your questions there. Maybe we can puff one after that. For a city without any rough neighborhoods, okay, more about the neighborhood. Yeah. It tells a story about the kids were so bored they rampaged Walmart and Kmart and went on a reckless spree of knocking stuff over and acting a damn fool. By midnight at the Hadley residence, there was 100 people and 2 dogs, a black lab named Sophie and an old, partially deaf and blind beagle. Sophie was nowhere to be found, but the beagle was hiding in the bedroom that had belonged to Tyler's older brother Ryan, who had moved to North Carolina 6 weeks earlier to attend college. The party was only several hours old, but the room looked as if it had been ransacked by thieves. Clothes and bedding were scattered across the floor, and the bed frame was cracked. The beagle cowered under the bed. Stephanie Castaneda arrived with her friend Joshua Court around midnight. She had a crush on Tyler, but didn't know him well. He was standing awkwardly by the wall next to his mother's computer and wasn't talking to his friends. When Stephanie went to the bathroom, she found a beagle hiding in the shower. William Goodall had known Tyler since the 6th grade, but had seen less of Tyler since freshman year of high school, when Tyler started smoking weed. He couldn't tell whether Tyler was acting especially strange, because Tyler always acted kind of strange. At 12:30 a.m., the party was running out of beer, so Tyler asked Mark Andrew and his girlfriend Ashley Gershman to drive them to Sunoco gas station a block away. Tyler gave a wad of $20 bills to Mark, who was 21, and asked him to buy 4 cases of Busch Light. Get that Busch Light. That's what we like to drink. We don't drink the Sam Adams double agent IPA like DLAKE. When they got back to the house, the kids at the party were playing water pong because there wasn't enough beer. Damn it. One boy walked around with a baggie of round white pills, selling them for $1 apiece. Another sold marijuana. Anthony Snook showed up around 12:45 a.m. Someone had texted him that Hadley's party was the biggest thing ever. We could just wreck shit. Doesn't seem like anybody cares. And it hasn't been busted or broken up yet, so let's just keep the party rolling. Even if the cats start acting a damn fool in here. Thanks for throwing this party, man, he said to Tyler. How have you been? This is Anthony Snook, the stoner guy. All right, Tyler replied, his voice was flat. Snook knew Tyler from school as a sullen, introverted kid who avoided eye contact and laughed at his own jokes. But tonight, despite the party's increasing chaos, Tyler seemed perfectly calm. At least until one boy, who had taken off his shirt and run out of the house screaming, returned holding a mailbox over his head. Woohoo! Where the fuck did you get that? Asked Tyler. I took it off the neighbor's lawn. The boy wheeled around the living room with the mailbox, knocking beer bottles to the floor. Tyler started yelling. Stealing the mailbox is a felony, he said, and the police were going to come. Somebody removed the mailbox from the house and returned it to the street. Snook noticed that the door to the master bedroom was closed. Assuming that there were people inside getting high, he tried to enter, but it was locked. Hey, man, I'm at a giant house party. There's a locked door. Hey, I bet you, hey, anybody in there smoking weed? Snook, okay. The hell is this? It was dark in the house, but he noticed a black smear, about a foot long, beneath the door. It looked like an oil-based paint that someone had tried unsuccessfully to wipe away. Justin Wright, a collegiate soccer player who was asked that his real name be withheld, arrived at 1:15 a.m. The first thing he noticed was the stench. It smelled like sweaty clothes that had been sitting around too long. The place was a mess. The white ceramic floor tiles were grimy, several picture frames were missing from the wall, others hung askew, dishes smeared with the remnants of instant macaroni and cheese accumulated in the kitchen. Justin asked Tyler if there were any house rules. Just do whatever you want, said Tyler. During Justin's game of beer pong, the ball bounced to the floor and rolled beneath the table, where it came to rest in a sticky, thick brown substance. Justin was mildly grossed out, but didn't think much of it. He carried the ball to the kitchen sink and rinsed it under the faucet, then resumed his game of beer pong. As Mark Andrew was leaving the party, Tyler asked if they could speak privately. Tyler went outside and ordered all the kids standing there to get back into the house so that his neighbors wouldn't call the cops. Once everyone was inside, Tyler turned to Mark. Dude, I did some things. I might go to prison. I might go away for life. I'm freaking out right now. What are you talking about? Said Mark. Dude, I know you're not going to believe me. No one will believe me. I freaking killed somebody. Dude, you killing somebody is your own business, said Mark. Don't be telling me that sort of thing. I don't need to know. Tyler returned to the house and ran into Ricardo Acevedo, an 18-year-old who had met Tyler that night. Thanks for having us, said Ricardo, and thanks for the beer. I just wanted to do something fun before I left, said Tyler. Where are you going? I'm going to kill myself, said Tyler. Why would you do that? You just met this kid. Because it is something really bad. What'd you do? Can't be that bad. Don't worry, said Tyler. If I get caught, I'll be in jail a long time. In his bedroom, Tyler found Kimberly Thebian, something, a chubby black-haired, oh, it's Kay Nasty. He found Kay Nasty in there. She's a chubby black-haired 20-year-old who was then known by friends as Kay Nasty. She and Tyler were close friends. She lived 2 houses down the street. What's up, Kay Nasty? I'm going away for 60 years, he told Kay Nasty. His voice seemed to come from a faraway place. Why? She asked. He said she'd find out tomorrow. Around 1 a.m., Tyler asked his friend Michael Mandel to walk outside so they could speak privately. Tyler and Michael had been best friends since they were 8 years old, and for much of the party they sat together, Michael chatting with other friends, Tyler staring into the middle distance. They walked to the stop sign at the end of the block, and when they got there, Tyler turned to Michael. I killed my parents, he said. Yeah, right. Michael, I'm being real. Not lying to you. If you look closely enough, you can see the signs. Told Michael to look in the driveway. Michael saw that the 2 cars closest to the garage were a black Toyota Tacoma truck that belonged to Tyler's father and his mother's red Ford Expedition. If Tyler's parents weren't home, why were their cars there? Michael still couldn't believe it, so Tyler told him to look inside the garage. After making sure nobody was watching, Michael slipped into the garage and turned on the light. He saw a bloody shoe print and immediately retreated, shutting the door behind him. Tyler led Michael to the master bedroom, where there were traces of blood on the door. Tyler unlocked the door and opened it. Michael saw dining room chairs and blood-soaked towels stacked in a huge pile. At the bottom of the pile, emerging from the debris, lay a thick white leg. Tyler told Michael what had happened. That afternoon, shortly before 5, Tyler had hid his parents' cell phones so that they couldn't call for help. He listened to Feel Lucky, a song by the rapper Little Boozy, to psych himself up. He took 3 pills of ecstasy because he worried that he couldn't kill his parents while sober. In the garage, he found a claw hammer. Then he returned to the house. He stood behind his mother while she worked at the family computer. For a full 5 minutes, he stood there, thinking about what he was about to do. Then he raised the claw end of the hammer, and brought it down on Mary Jo's head. Why? She screamed. Why? Hearing his wife's screams, Blake Hadley ran out of the master bedroom. He was a big man, 6'1", 300 pounds, but nothing could have prepared him for what he saw. Father and son locked eyes for several moments. Why? Asked Blake Hadley. Why the fuck not? Shouted Tyler. He kept repeating this question while he beat his father to death with the claw end of the hammer. Tyler pantomimed swinging the hammer for Michael. Like this. I was just like, why the fuck not? When it was over, Tyler said he wrapped towels around his parents' heads and dragged them into the master bedroom. The bodies lay side by side, face down, with the hammer on the ground between them. It took 3 hours to clean up all the blood and gore, much longer than Tyler had anticipated. He's like, damn it, man. Trying to have a party tonight. He threw every piece of incriminating, plus he's rolling on 3 pills of ecstasy, right? He threw every piece of incriminating evidence he could find into the bedroom, burying the corpses beneath a pile of broken dishes, shattered glass, bloody towels and pillowcases, books, a coffee table, a sponge mop, Clorox wipes, and a canister of coffee grounds. He took a shower and then, he told Michael, he stared at his reflection in the bathroom mirror and laughed. Max Mazer, a friend of Tyler's, was standing in the hall outside the master bedroom when he saw Michael rush from the room, slamming the door behind him. Michael looked deranged, said Max, like he was looking over both shoulders. But Michael didn't leave the party. He stayed for another 45 minutes, posing for selfies with Tyler. In one photo, taken with Michael's cell phone, the two best friends stand in what appears... Let's take a look. This is the photo that I'm talking about. The two best friends stand in what appears to be the garage. Both boys wear their brown hair and close crew cuts. Michael's expression is stern, defiant. This is Michael. Tyler raises an orange plastic cup, his mouth slightly twisted, his eyes intense. His face is a mixture of pain, despair, fear, and horror. Close to 2 a.m., somebody stood up and announced that there was another house party being thrown by a neighbor of Mike Young's. Kids began running outside, tossing their drinks onto the grass, opening car doors. Tyler ran out after them. Joshua Court had just settled into his car when someone slammed on the driver's side window. It was Tyler. "Where's everybody going?" he yelled. Josh rolled down the window and explained they were going to another party. "Oh," said Tyler, relieved. "All right." When asked later to describe Tyler's expression, Joshua said he was just like blank face. Like he had a blank face on. 14 cars peeled out of Tyler's neighborhood. The caravan went up to Prima Vista to Bay Shore. Windows open, Wiz Khalifa blasting, cars weaving down the wide boulevard. Finally, they reached their destination. The house was dark and quiet. A girl came outside in her pajamas. She wasn't having a party. It was just a rumor. The commotion of the departing cars was finally too much for Tyler's neighbor. Rianne Wallace, who lived next door, had known Tyler since he was born. She was fond of the Hadleys and of Tyler. He seemed like a happy kid, she says, very respectful and polite. He liked to skateboard, ride his bike, toss the football in the street. When she asked him not to throw the ball too close to her car, he said, "Yes, ma'am." When she and her husband went away for the weekend, she gave Tyler a few bucks to keep watch over her house. It takes a village. Tyler had always seemed close to his parents. As a boy, he would wait up late into the evenings for his father to return home from working the night shift at the power plant, and father and son would play basketball for hours in the driveway, often until midnight. Once Tyler entered into high school, a silence descended over the Hadley property. Tyler had always been quiet and difficult to read, but now he seemed eccentric, unpredictable, troubled. He had a bizarre personality, said Cameron Adams. Really hyper. He'd always try to pull a crowd. In the middle of a lesson, he would start laughing. He would just blurt out stuff. Once in the middle of biology class, he started mooing loudly like a cow. Another neighbor, Dee Maynard, refused to allow her son to play with Tyler after she caught Tyler as a young teen smoking in the nearby River Park Wildlife Preserve with another neighborhood boys. Worried that they might accidentally start a forest fire, she confronted Tyler's mother. Mary Jo seemed unconcerned. "My son doesn't smoke," she said. "I saw him smoking," Maynard reported. "Well," said Mary Jo, "you know Tyler." 2 weeks later, Tyler lit the River Park Wildlife Preserve on fire. Look, I was just trying to warn you. That's why my kid doesn't play with your kid, because I'm parenting here. Well, at least that parent, you know. She's probably still alive. You know what I'm saying? It was a significant-sized fire, says Donna Montero, whose swimming pool abuts the Hadley's pool. They just did it for kicks. I guess there's nothing else to do here. I would have thought he'd have been the type that probably would have hurt animals just for the heck of it, but I certainly would have never got the feeling that he would have been capable of murdering anybody, let alone his parents. In late April, weeks after his party, Tyler got into a fight at a friend's house and was arrested on a charge of aggravated battery. Because he had a juvenile record, having previously been convicted of burglary. Oh, wait, he lit a fire, burglary, and aggravated battery getting into a fight at a friend's house? Okay, he was sentenced to a week at St. Lucie County Jail, followed by 2 weeks of house arrest. Mary Jo confiscated his cell phone, forcing Tyler to rely on Facebook to communicate with his friends. Is Facebook keeping an eye on any of these trends with Tyler and his buddies and talking about killing his parents and throwing a party? I guess all their snooping and surveillance, that one must have slipped by. And they're not going to pay any taxes this year either. In fact, they're probably going to get a federal refund. Or federal return. You know what I'm saying. They're going to get paid. They've been doing such a great job. Hell, they got Barack Obama elected. You think they're going to pay re-elected? You think they're going to pay any damn taxes? Yeah, I doubt it. Tyler says on his Facebook, "Don't text me about drugs." What happened? My mom has it because I got arrested on Monday and she's flipping shit. I just got out today. Oh shit. Fucking shit sucked. You bad kid? Just kidding. It's a pirate's life for me. LMAO. WTF are you talking about? I don't fucking associate with non-pirates. What? Okay, I'm done with all the nautical nonsense. Smiley face. You're so silly. What are you doing? Nothing. Considering suicide. Oh, before you killed your parents, you were contemplating suicide after you got arrested for getting into a fight at your friend's house and being charged with assault and battery. You previously lit the forest preserve on fire, and also they just sort of glazed over the burglary. Why? Well, like, why would you commit suicide? Asked Isadora Gascho. Because I want to die, I guess. Question mark. What other reasons are there? Another question mark. Are you being serious? Yes. I do want to die sometimes. Don't die! Smoke a bowl whenever you're down. Tongue sticking out face. I used to. Now I drink a lot when I'm depressed. Oh! That causes depression if you didn't know. It fills the emptiness inside me. Bet it does. You're quite a character, winking, tongue sticking out face. Yes, but all my smiles are fake. There were still moments, however, when the old Tyler would emerge. One of Tyler's best friends, Ron Stonesifer, described Tyler's relationship with his mother as really close. Tyler told Ryan about a recent fight with Mary Jo, in which Tyler had told her to shut up. He felt so badly about it, he apologized immediately. He told his mother he was sorry for yelling at her. On Mother's Day, Tyler chatted on Facebook with his friend Mercedes Marco. Tyler told her about his house arrest. I'm so sad. That sucks, dude. Is your mom pissed? LOL. No, she's disappointed. I feel bad. She was crying. Aw, did you do anything for her today? It's Mother's Day. Yeah, me and my brother took her out to eat and whatnot. Haha. Aw, that's so nice, LOL. LOL, I know. It was a nice day. On Friday night in June, 1 month before the party, Tyler came home, in his words, smashed as fuck. After a night during which he had urinated on his friend Desiree Gerhard's bed. That's weird. Mary Jo admitted him to New Horizons, a mental health clinic. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. So we're getting to the mental health clinic, and I'm assuming the pharmies, the pharmaceuticals, the suicide pills and the homicide pills that are going to lead to the murder of both his parents with a claw hammer and the subsequent wild house party. Tyler was forced to attend counseling daily. In order to commit Tyler, Mary Jo invoked the Baker Act, which under Florida law allows for parents to commit their children, if under the age of 18, to involuntary psychiatric treatment. The act is only used if it is deemed a substantial likelihood that without intervention the child will cause serious bodily harm to himself or others in the near future. When a coworker asked if Mary Jo worried whether Tyler might ever hurt her, Mary Jo said she was not only worried that Tyler... Mary Jo said she was only worried that Tyler might hurt himself. Mary Jo suffered from depression and worried that her son might suffer from it as well. Oh, well, they have pharmaceuticals for that depression. That'll make you more depressed and want to kill yourself, or maybe kill some other people. And it's probably good to drink a lot of alcohol, do ecstasy, and smoke marijuana when you're taking those pills as well. In fact, Mary Jo had Tyler take injections of human growth hormone during his early adolescence. That's interesting, too. Because she thought it might boost his confidence. She didn't want him to be teased in school for being short and chubby. There's a correction in that sentence right there. I filled in the word that you left out there, Nathaniel. Of Rolling Stone magazine, in case you need me to come in and edit anything for you. Just 2 weeks before the party, however, Mary Jo had told friends that Tyler was over the hurdle. She was so happy about Tyler's improvement, said one friend. She really felt he was back to himself. Yeah, that's pretty much what all those pharmaceuticals do the first week or so. The weekend before the party, Tyler had traveled to his father and grandfather with his father and grandfather to a family reunion in Georgia. It was time for us to enjoy family from Indiana, Minnesota, and Florida, recalls his grandfather, Maurice Hadley. I didn't see any indication there were any problems between Tyler and his parents. The night before the party, the Hadleys had gone out to dinner as a family. On the way, they stopped at the Circle K where Tyler ran into his friend Cameron Adams. Tyler appeared to be in a good mood. "How are your mom and dad doing?" asked Cameron. "Oh," Tyler said quietly, "they're all right." He just came from a giant family reunion. Cameron mentioned that it was his birthday. He and his girlfriend were going to Benihana's. "Happy birthday," said Tyler. "Come to my house tomorrow. I'm having a party. We'll celebrate." The night before the party, he said that. At 2 a.m., as the caravan of cars tore out of the driveway of the Hadley house, revving their engines and blasting their music, Rianne Wallace got fed up. She couldn't understand why Tyler was throwing such a noisy party or why his parents would allow it. When a group of boys from the party drifted to her front lawn and began peering into her window, she called the police. 2 officers from the Port St. Lucie Police Department arrived at the Hadley residence within minutes. By that point, there were fewer than 20 people left at the party. When the officers rang the bell, Tyler told everybody to be quiet and hide in his room. Then he opened the door. The cops explained that there had been noise complaints. Tyler talked to them for a few moments. The cops left, and the party started again. At 2:30 a.m., Tyler's friends began to filter back to the party. It was clear now that something was wrong with Tyler. Michael Mandel, before leaving, had grabbed 10 Percocet pills that Tyler was going to use to commit suicide and hid them in a hall closet. When a 16-year-old cheerleader showed up with 2 girlfriends, Tyler slammed the door behind them as soon as they entered the house and began checking the windows, closing the blinds as if someone were out to get him. He kept touching his hair and pacing across the living room. "The party was fun," he told his friend David Garcia. "I might have another one tomorrow night." Then he said he might be going away for a while. "Are you moving? Or vacation?" "Just going away," said Tyler. "Are you coming back?" "I don't know, because I'm thinking about killing myself." Tyler turned the lights off in the front rooms to avoid attracting any further attention from the cops. Ryan Stonesifer, before he left at 3 a.m., saw Tyler making himself a sandwich in the dark. At 4:40 a.m., Tyler posted another message on his Facebook wall. "Party at my house again, HMU." The party might have gone on forever if the police hadn't at that very moment been standing outside his front door. Michael Mandel, the kid that hid the 10 Percocets to keep Tyler from committing suicide, had called the Crime Stoppers hotline. He told them everything. Officers Adrian Zamoyski and Charles Green were dispatched to 371 Northeast Grandeur Avenue at 4:32 a.m. They parked across the street. There were 3 cars in front of the house, a cream-colored Lincoln, a black Toyota Tacoma truck, and a red Ford Expedition. They ran the plates. The first car was registered to Tyler Hadley, the others to his parents. As the officers walked up the driveway, they heard someone talking inside the house. Officer Green saw through the front bay window the shadow of a person walking back and forth. Green knelt by the window and peered through the blinds. Tyler was pacing across the living room, talking to himself with a very disturbing look on his face. Green would write in his police report. His eyes were very wide and he was not blinking. Tyler grabbed a stack of books from the bookshelf near the front door and marched them into the back bedroom. After saying something unintelligible, he dumped the books on the floor in a frantic manner. Tyler repeated this exercise twice more, returning for a second and third stack of books. Finally, Green knocked on the front door and rang the bell. There was no answer, but Green could see Hadley through the window, walking away from the door. The rest of the lights in the house went off. Then Hadley opened the door. He was wearing a black shirt and black shorts, and his left hand was hidden behind his back. Officer Zamoyski drew his gun. He ordered Hadley to put his hands up and step out of the house. The officers checked him for weapons, then ordered him to the ground and handcuffed him. They were asked whether any adults were home. Tyler said no. He seemed frantic, incoherent, annoyed. His pupils were very large. He's been rolling all day. Killing his parents and throwing a giant party and flipping out. I know I'm going to Red Road, he told Officer Green, referring to the address of St. Lucie County Jail. So just take me. Leaving Tyler shackled in the driveway, the officers entered the house. You can't go in there, Tyler shouted out at them. Don't go in there. Empty beer bottles and red plastic solo cups were everywhere, on the counters and the floors. There were pots and pans on the kitchen counter. Tyler's bedroom floor was littered with unraveled cigars. On his bed were about 15 empty beer bottles and a woman's purse. The furniture in his brother's old room was turned over, and the floor was covered with clothing and bedding. Locked inside a closet, they found the black Labrador retriever, the black lab from the beginning of the story. Remember, there was two dogs, the beagle and the lab. The lab was in the closet. The cops passed through the kitchen and approached the master bedroom. It was locked. The officers noticed streaks of dry blood on the frame and baseboards. They forced the knob. The door opened. The funeral service for the Hadleys was attended by nearly 1,000 people. 2 coffins lay in front of the altar. Mary Jo Hadley was a committed Catholic. She served as a lector at the St. Lucie Catholic Church and taught the rite of Christian initiation to converts. On the Sunday morning that her body was found, she was supposed to have read at morning mass from the 13th chapter of 1 Corinthians, an ode to the empowering qualities of love. Love is patient. Love is kind. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always preserves. Wasn't Duck Dynasty quoting from paraphrasing Corinthians in his gay rant? At the reception following the service, Rianne Wallace approached Ryan Hadley, Tyler's older brother. Ryan, who was then 23, had planned to return to Port St. Lucie after graduating from college to work alongside his father at the power plant. He mentioned that he was going to St. Lucie County Prison in Fort Pierce that night to visit his brother. It would be the first time the brothers had seen each other since the murders. It's what my parents would want me to do, Ryan said. They wouldn't want me to abandon him. I don't know what I'm going to say. I'll probably just sit there and cry. My parents are dead. Tyler's friends, DLAKE, were struggling to understand his motivation, but there was a general sense that what happened to Tyler might have happened to any of them. One 18-year-old girl who attended the party but knew him only slightly blamed his parents. It's their fault. They're too strict on him. I don't know. He was under a lot of pressure. Oh, here we go. And like his parents would never let him be himself, and honestly, I think that they caused everything that just happened. His parents always expected him to be someone else that he wasn't, and that's not right. Anything Tyler would do, okay, thanks for your brilliant opinions here, 18-year-old girl. He just broke. He got crazy because of it. If you have that much hate for somebody, then you actually would do something like that. Yeah, brilliant thoughts there. Brilliant. Tyler had told some friends, including Michael, that his father had in the past punched him in the face. But even if this were true, Michael couldn't believe that this could lead him to murdering them. Tyler also told his friend Marky that Blake wasn't his real dad. Marky was amazed to find out during a police interview that Tyler had been lying. It was his real dad. He killed him. And his mom. Real mom. The most common rationale advanced by his friends was drugs. Okay. That's pretty much what I was saying. We all make mistakes when we are on them jiggers, said Marky. Tyler, Marky wrote in a statement, drank heavily and smoked pot and popped pills like a madman. There were a lot of pills. All kinds, said friend David Garcia. Monkeys, beans, Xannies, bars, French fry yellow Xannies. Tyler also took Percocet and Oxycontin, known amongst teens in Port St. Louis as blues, and he did ecstasy once or twice, according to a friend. but none of these drugs induce violent behavior. And they are used by hundreds of other kids in town, including most of those who attended Tyler's party. There might have been other kinds of pills in his body, however. Ooh, here we go. This is interesting. When cops searched the house, they found prescription bottles in Tyler's name for hydroxyzin, a relatively mild anti-anxiety medication, as well as citalopram, an antidepressant that increases my inability to say these names properly. Citalopram. Citalopram. Great. An antidepressant that can increase the risk of suicide in adolescents and young adults. Well, this has been an awful long show just to get to that one line, and how I'm bringing up this story that I've read the whole thing already because we got to stop the suicide and homicide pills here, my friends. Okay? 2013 is about to come to a close. You guys all remember Alex Jones on the Piers Morgan show, the Epic. He went off on him. He said, "We need to take care of these homicide suicide pills. It's right there on the insert of the drug. It's in the Rolling Stone article. The kid killed his parents. What the hell?" DLAKE, listen to me. The pharmaceutical companies in America are making way too much goddamn money for anything you say in this report to have any effect whatsoever. You might as well say that you more personally desire vagina than a man's anus, and that there's something wrong with any gay homo that wants to prefer the anus to the vagina. And then back it up with a bunch of Bible talk. But I'm not going to do that, even though it seems like I just did. Whatever. Anyways. Oh, and listen to this last. There's just a little bit more. Let me give it my own little wrap up here since we got to that part. The citalopram, the antidepressant that can increase the risk of suicide in adolescents and young adults. In a letter from jail to his grandparents, Tyler referred to one psychiatric pill in particular without mentioning its name. "I wish I had never started taking that damn pill," he wrote. "None of this would have ever happened." In a letter to a friend, he said, "I regret everything I did. I swear it's those drugs, man." But Tyler had also told Michael that he had purposefully waited for his brother to move out before he killed his parents. That was more than 6 weeks earlier, and a fellow inmate later testified that Tyler claimed he'd begun to plan the murder and the party 3 weeks before it happened. "You should have come to the party," Tyler told the inmate. According to testimony, it was awesome. At the St. Lucie County Jail, Tyler is a celebrity. Let's take a look at Tyler again. I think we got a picture of him in his county blues. Oh wait, excuse me, that's the wrong page. Where is it? This one. Yeah, here he is, the hammer. At the county jail, Tyler is a celebrity. "When this shit went down, it went worldwide," he wrote in a letter to a friend. "I was the second most popular story after the economy." He responds to fan letters and signs Hambo, and signs autographs for other inmates, Hammer Time. But he's also been jumped and beaten up. He has been continuing his education. He passed his GED and scored a 2100 on the SAT. He reads all day, recommending to his friends the Harry Potter books and anything from James Patterson. He has been meeting with a priest, a Father Michael, and has expressed a desire to become ordained. when he gets out of jail, but it seems unlikely that will happen. Because Tyler committed the murders 6 months short of his 18th birthday, and I don't think that he could plead affluenza like Ethan Couch. Please go back and see my previous report about that, the affluenza defense. Because Tyler committed the murders 6 months short of his 18th birthday, he cannot be sentenced to death, but prosecutors can pursue 2 life terms. When asked about his judicial philosophy, Chief Assistant State Attorney Tom Bakedahl, who is trying Hadley's case, says, "Our focus is on punishment, not rehabilitation." He forgave his friend Michael for turning him in and preventing him from committing suicide, though not before pointing out that, "I'm in jail because of you." Thanks, pal. I'll try to get over that guilt since I'm on the outside because I didn't kill my parents like you. I wish I could throw back some Miller Lights and smoke a fat-ass strawberry White Owl bowl. But I gotta say, it feels good to be sober. My head is nice and clear. Make sure you drink some Miller for me. Drink yourself stupid like I used to. I swear to you, Michael, the devil had a hold on me. I talked to him and he talked to me. That's why I seemed so crazy toward the end. I'm not a cold-blooded monster like everybody thinks I am. I'm a caring person that made a horrible mistake. You gotta let people know that. You gotta prevent this from happening to any other kids there in Port St. Lucie or anywhere else. And all you parents that take your kids to these shake and bake prescribe antidepressants on day one, bullcrap Nazi doctors, and you know you're going to be forced to go there and get that type of medical care under Obamacare. So that's great, magical, wonderful, and awesome. You know. Anyways, thank you for joining me on the live show and listening to the true crime story of Tyler Hadley. I encourage everyone to read the story in full. I got to all the good parts, really, though. But, you know, if you like true crime, please check out the episode in full. Make sure you visit themediaspeaks.com at www.themediaspeaks.com. And while you're there, make sure to get the edge by clicking on that link on the right-hand side that'll take you to the Bud K catalog where you can get knives, swords, ninja throwing stars, crossbows, tasers, the sword from the movie The Hobbit, and much, much more. I think you're pressing your luck trying to get it shipped in time for Christmas, but you might want to give it a try. And they have a lot of stuff on there that's super savings right now. Serious super savings. Anyways, let me just stress and emphasize one more time before we call the show that Big Pharma, the homicides and suicide pills, is written right there on the label. And check out Mikhail Thalin's report on StoryLeak.com, and it was covered also on InfoWars about how all these most recent crime, mass shooting type of events, that the media tells you one thing about the people and always buries the you know, democratic pill popping psychiatric drug loser aspect. And man, I mean, come on, guys, it seriously needs to be looked into. So please do that. Everybody have a great night. Peace.